Hello, everyone. So this month we are highlighting a grantee that is transforming a highly gendered space, the mikveh, to be more inclusive, to facilitate healing, and ensure accessibility. So I'm here with one of the co-leaders of the Queer Mikveh Project, Rebecca Maria Goldschmidt. How are we doing today?
I am good, Jordan. Thank you for having me today. Excited to be here.
Awesome. My pleasure. Pleasure's all mine, honestly. So Queer Mikveh Project's kavanah, which is Hebrew for intention, is to reawaken the practice of mikveh for queer Jews as a living liberation praxis. For people who may not have a ton of Jewish education, can you tell us a little bit more about what the mikveh is and why you all felt like that was a key piece of Jewish ritual to reclaim?
Sure, yeah. So mikveh, for those who are not familiar with the practice, it's a traditional ritual immersion. It's a water immersion, and it's usually used for sense of cleansing or purification and transformation. So conventionally, it's been used as a method of conversion to Judaism, and it's also used before weddings or for nidah, which is a cleansing practice which women usually use for cleansing after menstruation, so before they go back to being sexually active with their partner. So we decided that, well, really, Rebecca Arov in 2015 founded the project, and really the reason for wanting to reclaim mikveh is to kind of really just reframe the experience for gender queer and gender non-conforming folks and trans people and bodies. And yeah, just really opening the space to make everyone feel much more comfortable, because it is a very binary space. Usually mostly women use it, although men do use it as well. And we also are interested in reimagining what purity is. There are kind of these old school ways of looking at the shame of our bodies and the shame of the things that come out of our bodies and the bodily fluids and all this stuff. So we're really interested in reclaiming this space, the relationship to water that we have as Jews and as people and as queer people, and really just strengthening and honoring that relationship with the water. So mikveh, reclaiming mikveh, is really a practice of, kind of sense of decolonizing Judaism and opening it up for a relationship that is not bound by the limitations of gender.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that kind of focus on like the purity and like transformation of people. Because as I understand, a lot of your key values are kind of within that, right? It's about healing from assimilation, healing from white supremacy, and renewing Judaism through those embodied rituals and arts, and that integration with social justice work. So it's really pretty awesome to see renewed Judaism as an impetus for engaging with those values. What's that look like in practice?
Good question, Jordan. Well, I think, from the beginning, Queer Mikveh Project was always about ritual gatherings and creating ritual space for queer people, for queer Jews to come together and to spend time with each other, building relationship with each other and with the water. So that means, gathering at a body of water. I think one of the first mikvaot was at the Albany Bulb in the East Bay in San Francisco area. And, in person, when it was back in the day in 2015 and it was an in-person situation, it would be about gathering and coming together. Usually mikveh is also like an individual experience. So it's a very, isolated, like one person is dipping, and people also do their own personal mikvaot. But the way that Queer Mikveh Project works usually is that people are coming together. So right now, because we're still in COVID times, we have been doing ritual Zoom spaces where people are coming together, calling in from all different places. We've had performances and music and poetry and guided meditations and embodied experiences. And then we also have a ritual immersion and a blessing. And really like setting the tone for a renewal, a retransformation. So we've been having mikveh that is, either before like high holy days, like before Rosh Hashanah or before Pesach, so we can kind of reset for like a new transformation into a new time. But yeah, we've also done fun art things, like we have like a towel and we have a zine that people can buy and learn more about what mikvah is, and there's some journal prompts and stuff in there so people can use the process as a transformative process for themselves as well, not just with the group.
I love that a towel is a piece of swag that you give out. Like that's like a
Yes.
thoughtful piece of swag as well. Like that's obviously connected to the work. Normally my transitions are a little bit more, about the community and everything, but I couldn't get off the towel. I absolutely love that, especially just given the relationship with water.
Yeah, there's an amazing artist, Lucasa, who designed the towel too. So that's another bonus. It's like, it's not just a regular towel, it's a beautiful towel
Yeah.
for your mikvah when you come out,
Right, exactly. So, you did just talk a lot about the community. It sounds really incredible, and broad. And you've been doing all of this work for over 6 years to build it. What are some of like the real highlights of things that you've done? Like what's the top list?
Oh man,
Things we
well,
should know about.
Rebecca, I've really only been working on this project for the past 2 years. So Rebecca Erev really has done so many amazing projects, before with Queer Mikveh before I even came on. So I can share that, some mikvaot. I think one of the most amazing things that they've been doing is really just always creating a space where Jews of color can be leaders and have input and be welcome. Obviously, queer Jews, disabled Jews, and creating accessible spaces is really important to us, and making sure that at least in the Zoom space too, that there's interpretation and captioning, and just making it really accessible for everyone and making everyone feel welcome, I think is just really one of the most important things that we really want to emphasize is important to us and important to our community. And then, another amazing thing about it is also that we use these spaces to not just to bring people together for our own personal healing, but for, basically to channel funds and to channel support to different Black and Indigenous land stewards and people working on land back projects. So one of the first mikvah was actually no DAPL, like no to the Dakota Access Pipeline fundraiser. And so just kind of creating that solidarity and intention setting and prayer in solidarity with the people who were, in the Dakotas up there. That I think is a really important point to, emphasize. And that last year when we were working on Zoom rituals, all of that funding really that we were collecting from our collective, gathering was going to a project called Black Mycelium Project, which is a Black trans farming project. So we really don't just, get people together to have the ritual, enjoy it and feel good and, brush off the dead skin, like that kind of thing. Like that's a huge part of it. But that is all done in intention and in purpose to move energy and move all kinds of different energies to the healing of the earth and to the honoring of the water. So I think that's really the most cool thing that I love about Queer Mikveh is that, it's not just necessarily an event particular, that's wonderful, but it's like the way that it comes together and the way that the energy moves out from that space, and I will also say that we are explicitly free Palestine, like we believe explicitly in the liberation of Palestine. And our vision for racial justice and equity and a peaceful world really comes from listening to the movement of Palestinian leaders, and also moving Judaism beyond Zionism. That's something that's really important to us. And that means holding space for thinking and for conversation around non-Zionist and anti-Zionist thinking, which is often very marginalized in the Jewish community. So that's something that we also like to make sure is said and conveyed.
Yeah, all of that is really beautiful, and really, really demonstrates a lot of breadth in your work. And I think that's part of why the steering committee was excited to fund you all. So, I'm just curious, as, part of the organization making these grants, what has JLF's grant enabled you to do? And as your organization grows, kind of where do you see yourself as part of a left-wing justice movement and beyond?
Yeah, another great question. I think so. Just to answer the question, like what is the funding going to help us do? I think that's a really important point. Really what we're trying to do right now is to build ourselves as an organization, because we've really been volunteering and like all Jewish leftist people do. We
Right.
volunteer all our time, and we realize that as Jews, as queer Jews, as Jews of color, as Jews who identify as disabled, that we also need to get paid for the work that we do. And so that's
Hmm.
something that we were so grateful to JLF, because it's allowing us to you know not just work for free all the time and work for free for the community, but to also have some kind of income that helps support us in our lives. So we're building our own structure of the organization, and that also means getting us trained up. So we're taking all kinds of different trainings. I'm going to a wrestling with Zionism class after this. And I'm also in the Join for Justice, Don't Kvetch Organize
Right.
JOC cohort, you know?
Awesome.
So like we're all trying to get skilled up in terms of accessibility, in terms of connecting and building alliance with Indigenous people, and kind of taking trainings from different organizations. So that's helping with that. And we're also planning more events. So we're actually going to be collaborating with some organizations in Canada, in May, Canada and the Midwest, to create a mikvah that's going to be honoring and really centering Indigenous Jews, Jews who are also Indigenous and Jewish, and really thinking about how our ritual practices overlap and how can we support water struggle and community water activism in the lands known as Canada and the Great Lakes area. So that's a really exciting thing. And we really see ourselves on like the front lines of this sort of intersectional work, as queers, as Jews of color, and as ritual leaders. So it's going to be really exciting, and we're really like grateful. We, like I was telling Jordan earlier, we love JLF because the funding process has been so beneficial to us in this way of like it's easeful, and it's wonderful to be connected to all these other network of just radical Jews doing cool stuff wherever they are. And so we're just happy to just keep expanding our network in that way too. Yeah, and I also just want to emphasize that our work it's not for us, it's for our most precious resource, which is the water itself. So we really do see ourselves as kind of helping the community reorient to land-centric ancestral practices that, that's like what our ancestors were all about anyways. So we're just trying to like, shift the twist a little bit towards that space of like honoring yourself and your people, but through the water and through the ritual relationship with water.
Yeah, that's really awesome. And just as a JLF representative, it's great to hear you love us. We love you too. And if someone else is listening to this and they think, wow, I would probably love Queer Mikveh Project, where can they find you?
You can find us at Queer Mikveh Project on Instagram, at Instagram Queer Mikveh Project. And you can also email us at queermikvehproject@gmail.com. We do not currently have a website, so you can message us or connect with us on email.
Awesome. And websites are overrated anyway. It's all about
I
Instagram these
mean,
days. It's all about Instagram these days.
we're trying our
So
best. We're trying our best.
so thank you so much, Rebecca, for your time. It's been a pleasure. And I and all of us at JLF really look forward to seeing your beautiful work continue to blossom in the future.
Thank you so much. Thanks for listening.
All right, then.